So in today's video, I'm going to be showing you a full rod progression guide inside Fisch. Now with Fisch, they have buff a bunch of rods, or they're going to. One thing to note is a lot of these rods are obviously getting buffed, but for the most part, we are going to be going over the best progression guide in the game. So first things first, and today might just be your lucky day, but if you're watching this video within 1 week of it coming out, then you will actually be able to enter into my Fisch set giveaway. I'm going to be giving away every single fish for this. And to enter, all you need to do is go down and click that hype button and then hype this video, and then go and comment your Roblox username down below. But once again, hype this video, comment your Roblox username, and that will enter you into the Fisch giveaway. And I'm going to be giving this away to multiple people. Is your starter guide or your starter rod obviously being flimsy, you can go from flimsy over to the carbon rod right here. This is going to be 2,000, very easily to obtain. And the next thing to note about this rod is just in general being a very great starting rod because of its decent resilience stat and having a higher control. Next rod is actually going to be really cheap and over at Vertigo. This is going to be called the Nocturnal Rod. Now, the reason for this one, to get into Vertigo, you got to go into a strange whirlpool that looks just like that. You're going to come into Vertigo just in here, and you're going to come over here and buy the Nocturnal Rod for 11,000. Now, the reason why I like this as a secondary rod is it will have a bunch of stuff and have a really good luck increase compared to other rods you can get, and a really good max kg for being one of the secondary to third rods you're going to get in the game. Now, the third rod that you should probably try getting is going to be none other than the Wildflower Rod. Now, I'm going to head on over there right now, but the reason for the Wildflower Rod is this is actually a very good rod in general. For it only costs 40,000. It's a good step 3 or stage 3 rod to get, and this is going to be over at Terrakin Island. You're just going to come right into this main area right here, and it's just going to be landing right here for you to buy 40,000. Now, this has a good 40% or 40,000 cost, a 70% lower speed, a 75% luck, 0.17 control, 17 resilience, but it has low kg. Not a really big problem considering the other stats will be beneficial for catching things like mythic fish for money. Now at stage 4, this is where we're going to go to 2 different spots. Now, firstly, it's going to be if you can get into Vertigo during a Aurora event, which was the one where we just were previously with getting the Nocturnal Rod, then you're wanting to go there during an Aurora because you can obtain the Aurora Rod. Now, the Aurora Rod is pretty good at it will give you a 15% chance to get an Aurora mutation, which is 16x, or a 30% chance for an Aurora during an Aurora Borealis. So pretty much it boosts the chance for the mutation during an Aurora. But the main thing about this rod is you can only obtain it in Vertigo during an Aurora. So simply you're going to come over to a strange whirlpool. So this is a good comparison. That's a normal whirlpool. This is a strange whirlpool. You're going to go back on over to the area we were in previously for the other rod. You're going to come in here, and it's going to be actually cheaper than the King's Rod, 70,000. It's going to have 6,000 kg, not infinite like King's Rod, which is the only issue, and it'll just be right here for you to buy. Now, the King's Rod, though, if you cannot get the Aurora Rod, is going to be the other recommendation for this section, which is going to be just on over this way. So I'm going to head on over there now. So we're going to head on over to this island called the Statue of Soft. It's going to be right back here, and we're going to go in here, just climb up this. I actually just noticed something. Hold on. Ooh, a Fillionaire. Hold on. Let me open this. Okay, what are we? Boom, 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 boom. Oh, I'm rich. Okay. We're going to go down here. How do I click off of this? Oh, now you can do this. So you can either buy it every time or buy permanent access. Permanent access will cost you 100,000. Now, Cole hands you a seemingly bottomless sack of tokens. This isn't like something you can find in your inventory, but this is such a convenience not having to buy that every time, because every time you have to enchant a rod, you have to come down here and all that. So you're gonna come down here. This is the Keeper's Altar where you enchant, but we're gonna come over here, on over to the left, and we're going to buy the King's Rod right here for 100,000. Now, this is going to have a stat where there's a 30% buff to all fish caught and a infinite kg, meaning it can catch any sized fish, 25% lure speed, 85% control, and a 0.15 roll, and a 35 resilience. It's pretty good for this. Now, the next rod we're going to be working towards is going to be the Trident Rod. Now, the Trident Rod is actually going to be obtained over in Desolate Deep. Now, I'll have a full video on this, but if you don't want to get this, you can get the Great Dreamer Rod, which is actually pretty simple. To get the Great Dreamer Rod during spring or autumn, you're going to have to use a sundial. At night, during night, you're going to have to use a smoke screen totem if you can't, to make it foggy, and this will spawn the Cursed Isle. Now, in the Cursed Isle, you can simply buy this. This is just going to be in the main section. There's going to be a little hut, and go in the hut and buy it there. And you can go in there and buy it for just about 500,000. Now, the Trident Rod is a bit harder to obtain, but is a bit better for that price range, which is going to be 150,000. It does not have max kg or infinite kg, which is the only issue, but it has a great ability. Now, the next rod we're going to be looking at is going to be the Rod of the Depths, being one of the other rods we can get that is going to be back in Vertigo that we came from previously. To get this, you're going to have to do a full quest, but essentially you're going to go to Vertigo, go in there to the depths, and you're going to do a maze, all this stuff. You are going to need 2 relics to get this. You're going to need a Hexed Enchant Relic, and then you're going to need an Abyssal Enchant Relic. Now, you're going to need both of those those, pretty simple. But once you have both of those, you can unlock the rod. You can just search up a video for that. It's pretty simple. Now the next rod we're going to be getting is either these two. So firstly is going to be the no life rod. If you hit level 500, this rod's actually getting buffed in this upcoming update. So if you can get the no life rod from hitting level 500, you can use that for a while, or you can get the luminescent oath. Now the luminescent oath is really good. So we're going to go on down into the luminescent cavern, get this, but the luminescent oath essentially is going to cost 1.5 million. And to get this, it's actually super simple. It's just going to be right over here. All you have to do is actually just complete the bestiary luminescent cavern, and then you can buy this rod for 1.5 million. This has one of the most broken passives imaginable. The luminescent oath, 85% lure speed, 100% luck, 0.18 control, 10% resilience, and a 25,000 max kg. Now this has the ability to apply a mutation that gives a 16x increase value, which is insane, allowing you to give a bunch of amount value. Now this is if you perfect catch a fish only though. So if you can get a mutation or an enchant on this rod to give you high resilience, this will be actually really easy. Alongside high control like Herculean, that'll make it really doable. But from this rod, we're going to be moving on to the next rod, which is actually in the same zone. We're going to be getting the Cirgulan Fang Rod. Now this Cirgulan Fang Rod is going to be right here, buyable. Now you can't buy it right now because to get this to spawn in, this is going to cost 5 million. You're going to only be able to get the Cirgulan Fang Rod in the Luminescent Cavern during a Starfall event. Now this has a ton of passives, but most notably being a 40% chance for a 15 or an 8% progress boost slash. So it has a slashing ability and a constant 15% plus on progress speed. Now after this, there are actually two rods you can get. First being the Elder Moss Ripper. This is actually pretty difficult to obtain considering what you have to do. To get the Elder Moss Ripper, you have to get a Elder Moss Jaw, then you have to get a Shrouded Golden Sea Pearl, and then you have to get a Mossy Core, all of which are pretty difficult to get, but for the most part, this rod is definitely worth it. So once you get this rod though, I recommend using this for a while until you have a ton of money and are willing to want to, suffer pretty much to get the next rod. Now the Eldian rod or Idiolan, I don't even know how to pronounce it, and I guarantee my captions are messing it up. This is going to be obtained in the Sanctum for 5 million. You pretty much have to complete the entire Cultist Lair area. Now once you've done that though, you can easily buy it, but the Cultist Lair is very, very big, so you're probably gonna have a hard time getting this, but the Eldian rod, none of the less, very, very overpowered. Now the next rod you can get, there's actually two ways you can go. Firstly being getting the Ruinous Oath or getting the Oni Ralphix, but the Oni Ralphix and the Ruinous Oath are both pretty good, both being a pretty much a late in-game rod. Now the one thing about both of these is they have a very difficult quest line, but nowhere near as difficult as some of the other rods come. But once again, I would still recommend getting those two rods. Now finally, this is going to be the last recommendation. This is going to be like the last rods you will ever get in the game. Obviously there's admin abuse rods like the Nate's Blade, things like this that are only obtainable during the black market, but if you're watching this past the black market, they're going to be gone forever. So if you're wanting to get the two last rods, the last one being the Dream Breaker from the Cultist Lair, this one is very, very difficult to obtain, but nowhere near as hard as the Fabulous rods. The Fabulous rod is the best rod in the entire game. Alongside this, it is the hardest rod to get in the entire game. To get this, you have to do a huge quest line, but this rod makes up for that with a 25% boost to all fish caught, a 26% chance for a 16.5x mutation, which is fabulous, and then every 0.25 seconds there's a 25% chance for a 3% slash progress gain, which means pretty much you're going to get this nearly every second on average. And then alongside this, after 3 slashes you will gain 0.2 control, meaning the bar will get very big, and you will get a 100% progress boost. Now this will pretty much instantly continuously go away after 3 seconds, so if you're catching a big fish, it's pretty much useless. But the other rod being the Dream Breaker has some pretty insane passives itself. So after 20% progress, the borders on the player screen reach a certain dimness, so like your screen's going to continuously dim as rod. Pretty interesting. And the fishing mini game is actually going to be inverted, meaning if you don't hold, the bar is going to move to the right, and if you click, it's going to move to the left, which is pretty confusing, but it's really good. And then during the day, there's going to be a minus 50% fish size, a 25% chance for the Distraught mutation, which is 16.3, but during night is pretty much way better, where you're going to have a 50% chance or a 50% increase to all fish caught, a 35% chance for the Distraught mutation, so a 10% higher during night than day, and then it's going to gain a slashing ability where every 0.25 seconds there's a 33% chance to slash for a 5% progress, and there is a forced minus 15% progress speed on all fish or catch. But nonetheless, this is actually very interesting because you're like, oh, it's forcing a minus progression speed on the catching fish. But if you think about it, this means fish that you catch during, say, admin abuse that are like minus 105% or minus 98% or something crazy are going to be only minus 15%, making this not only one of the most broken rods in the game, but by far one of the last rods you're ever going to get inside of Fisch. Now, for the most part, that is pretty much it for this video. If you have any other questions, make sure to leave them down below in the comment section. I'll make sure to respond to as many as I can, but for the most part, that's pretty much it for this video. Thank you so much for watching.